Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we break down the complex source material, all the foundational research and the actionable science to give you the knowledge you need.
And today we are tackling a topic with incredibly high stakes.
We're talking about the brain, specifically the connection between nutrition, our genes, and really the long-term destiny of our cognitive health.
It's such a crucial topic, and
Yeah.
there's this huge paradox at its heart. For centuries, we've thought of the brain as this ultimate fortress.
Right. It's the most protected organ. You have the skull, the meninges, all that fluid cushioning it. It feels, totally secure.
Physically, yes, shielded from the outside world. But when you dig into the sources, you find this really shocking premise.
Which is what?
Despite all that physical armor, the brain is, at the same time, the one organ most easily damaged by a poor diet.
Wow. Okay, so it's not about external impact. It's about the inputs, the fuel.
Exactly. It just demands these highly specialized quality inputs that it can only get from our food day in and day out.
That completely reframes the conversation. And it also explains the urgency we're seeing. I mean, if you look at the extreme end of this, like Alzheimer's research, it's at epidemic levels.
It is. But here's the powerful and I think positive counterpoint from the research. There is this profound potential for intervention.
We can do something about it.
A lot, actually. Yeah. The data suggests that if we just address the lifestyle risk factors for things like heart disease and diabetes, things we can control, we could prevent over a third of all Alzheimer's cases worldwide.
That is just immense. It shifts the whole narrative away from, oh, it's in my genes, toward real personal empowerment.
And that gets us to a key concept here, epigenetics.
Right. It's a powerful sounding word. Can you just break that down for us? Does our DNA not matter anymore?
Oh, it absolutely matters. Your DNA is still the blueprint, of course. But epigenetics, think of it like the master control panel. It means our lifestyle choices right now, what you eat, how you sleep, they're the ones flipping the switches.
Turning genes on or off.
Precisely. They determine which parts of that blueprint actually get expressed. The brain, as one source put it, is quite the fighter.
Right.
And our diet is what determines the fight it puts up.
Okay, so let's unpack that architecture. Because when you say food literally becomes brain matter, you mean it.
We absolutely do. If the brain is a house, we need to talk about the primary building materials we are constantly supplying. And that's fats.
Not just any fats, though.
No, we need to focus on what are called brain essential nutrients. These are the things the brain consumes in huge quantities, but it can't make enough of on its own. They had to cross the blood-brain barrier.
And at the top of that list are the healthy fats. We're talking about omega-3s and omega-6s from fish and nuts. It seems like omega-3s are the real superstar here.
They are. The evidence elevates them to the #1 nutrient for fighting age-related cognitive decline.
And what's the data on that? How strong is the link?
It's staggering, especially when we focus on one component, DHA. That's the structural fat that keeps our neurons flexible and responsive.
So messages can fire properly.
Yes. And one huge study showed that people consuming less than 1 gram of omega-3s a day had a 70% higher risk of developing Alzheimer's.
70%. That's a massive consequence for a nutritional gap.
It's huge. And you asked about structural integrity. Researchers can actually see the difference.
With brain scans.
Exactly. Brain scans of older dementia-free participants, the ones with chronically low omega-3 intake, showed accelerated brain shrinkage, especially in the hippocampus,
Our memory center.
the memory center. And this shrinkage was equivalent to 2 extra years of brain aging,
Just from not eating the right fats.
just from not supplying the necessary building blocks. The sources even give specific targets. People eating less than 4 grams of DHA a day had the most shrinkage, those getting 6 grams or more. They have the youngest-looking, most robust brains. It's measurable physical damage you are preventing.
So, okay, we need to flood the system with good fats,
Oh.
which also means we have to minimize the bad ones, the pro-inflammatory fats.
Right, which are everywhere in the modern Western diet. We need to drastically reduce those omega-6 rich vegetable oils. Corn, soy, safflower, sunflower, grapeseed oil.
Grapeseed oil is on that list. I thought that was a healthy one.
It's actually at the top of the list in one source. 70 grams of these omega-6s per 100 grams. And you just have to think about how many processed foods use these cheap oils.
Salad dressings, frozen dinners.
Ready-to-eat meals, it's a constant flood of pro-inflammatory fat that just stresses the whole system.
So what are the best swaps? What should be in our pantry instead?
You want to focus on things with a better fat profile. Extra virgin olive oil is a great staple. Flaxseed oil, coconut oil, avocado oil. By making those choices, you are actively shifting your brain's architecture away from inflammation and toward resilience.
All right, let's shift gears. We've covered the brain's building materials, the fats. Now let's talk about its fuel source,
Right.
glucose.
The delicate fuel source. The brain depends on it almost exclusively. But this is where most people get it wrong. They hear carbs and think of refined white foods.
Sugar, bread, pasta.
Exactly. And the sources are very clear. Those are not good fuel sources. They're too fast and too empty. When they're processed, they lose up to 50% of essential nutrients. The brain needs quality, not just quantity.
And this brings us to one of the most surprising parts of the research. Nature's candy. We think sweet means fruit, but the best natural sources of slow-release glucose are often savory vegetables.
It's so counterintuitive, isn't it? We're talking about things like onions, turnips, rutabaga, and especially red beets.
A red beet?
A single small red beet can contain 31% of all the glucose you need for the day.
Uh-huh.
And because of the fiber, it hits your bloodstream slowly. No major spike.
Mhm.
Even natural sweeteners like honey or maple syrup, used carefully, are better because they provide that glucose hit with less total sugar.
So the real danger isn't just weight gain, it's the subtle long-term damage that high blood sugar does to the brain tissue.
That is the critical insight. Chronic consumption of refined sugar leads to insulin resistance, inflammation, all of which raises dementia risk. But what's really fascinating is that the damage was happening even at glucose levels considered normal.
Wait, what do you mean by normal?
So below the clinical threshold of, say, 120 milli-GDL, even at those levels, high sugar was having a damaging effect on the brain.
Wow, so the brain is just, it's more sensitive than the rest of the body. A blood sugar level your muscles can handle is already hurting your brain.
Precisely. And we have to connect this to a huge lifestyle factor, which is sleep. Sleep profoundly affects our cravings for fuel and how we handle glucose.
Right. That 4 to 6 hours a night so many of us get, it doesn't just make you tired, it messes with your hunger hormones.
It does. It cranks up your appetite, tanks your impulse control, and pushes you straight toward high-calorie, sugary foods the next day.
And that ties directly into the brain's cleaning crew, right?
It does. The glymphatic system.
Yeah.
You need deep non-REM sleep for it to kick in. Think of it as the brain's nighttime power cleanse. It flushes out all the metabolic junk that builds up during the day.
So if you don't sleep well, you crave sugar. The sugar causes damage and inflammation. And you're also skipping the cleaning cycle that would have cleared out some of that mess.
It is a truly vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. You're compromising the cleaning system while simultaneously dumping more trash into it.
Okay, so understanding that delicate balance between glucose and inflammation is everything. Now that we know why we need steady glucose, let's get into the actionable science, the strategies for controlling those blood sugar spikes.
The gentle giants, as one source calls them. These are hacks that fundamentally flatten your glucose curve. And by doing that, you prevent the spike that causes inflammation, but also that horrible crash afterwards that just kills your energy and focus.
Hack number 1. This is the cornerstone for the entire day, the savory breakfast.
Yes, you have to start your day with protein and fat. Nothing sweet, except maybe some whole fruit.
And why is that so important at the start of the day?
It's the mechanism. If you start with a sugary cereal or even a fruit smoothie, you get this massive glucose spike and then a huge crash a couple of hours later.
Yeah.
In contrast, a savory breakfast, an omelet, avocado, leftovers, it keeps your blood sugar incredibly steady. It sets you up to have fewer cravings all day long.
Start steady, stay steady. It makes sense. Okay, hack number 2 is the veggie starter.
This is about getting your fiber in first. You just add a plate of fibrous vegetables, about 30% of the meal, before you eat your main course.
It sounds so simple.
It's a simple but highly effective mechanical trick. The fiber creates this kind of mesh in your stomach that slows down the absorption of the sugars and starches that follow. The example of eating edamame before a sushi roll is perfect. You get that fiber buffer before the white rice hits your system.
Which prevents the spike and the cravings later. And hack number 3 involves a bit of chemistry, vinegar.
A tablespoon of vinegar, apple cider, white, doesn't really matter, before you eat something sweet or starchy can dramatically reduce the glucose spike.
How does that even work?
The acetic acid in the vinegar basically slows down how quickly starches are broken down into glucose. So the sugar is absorbed much more gradually. The only rule is, take it with water or as a dressing. Don't mix it with sugar or honey. because that just cancels out the effect.
So the savory start, the fiber barrier, the vinegar preload,
Yep.
you're basically putting up shields to protect that delicate brain tissue from the roller coaster of high sugar.
You are. And there's one last one. Hack number 4, move after eating.
Ah, the post-meal walk.
It doesn't have to be a big walk. Just 10 minutes of light movement walking around the office folding laundry helps your muscles soak up that excess glucose from your bloodstream so it doesn't spike.
Hmm.
And we should zoom out for a second here. Connect these specific choices back to that bigger picture of epigenetics we started with. It's a whole system.
Right. It's not about obsessing over one perfect meal. It's about the overall pattern. And it's so empowering to know that our choices, our current choices, are what activate or silence those genetic risks.
Exactly. Lifestyle really does matter more than genetic inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
And diet is just one piece of the puzzle. Though the sources also point to a couple of other critical factors.
Like gut health.
Yes, which brings us right back to fiber. A diet high in fiber and low in animal fat supports a healthy microbiome. And that community of organisms in your gut is critical for brain longevity.
It's involved in making neurotransmitters, influencing things like anxiety, even dementia.
It is, and that's why the research cautions against eliminating fiber-rich whole grains unnecessarily. If you can tolerate gluten, that fiber is essential for stabilizing blood sugar and supporting your immune system.
And the other big factor, the one everyone knows but maybe doesn't prioritize, is physical activity.
What's good for the heart is good for the brain. It's an old adage because it's true.
And we're not talking about running marathons here.
Not at all. Just an hour a week of vigorous activity. The kind that makes you sweat, makes you a little breathless, that enhances blood flow, oxygen delivery, and it actually slows plaque buildup in the arteries feeding your brain. Physical movement is literally feeding your mind.
So the big theme here isn't about being perfect. It's about shifting the balance, choosing a whole food over a processed one most of the time.
That's it. You see it in people who follow a Mediterranean-style diet. They consistently show healthier, younger-looking brains, and it doesn't matter if they carry the genetic risk factors for dementia or not. The control is in the daily choices, not the genetic code.
This has been an incredible deep dive. So let's recap the core moves for everyone listening. You want to prioritize those omega-3s, especially DHA, to fight brain shrinkage. Swap the fast, refined sugars for natural sources like red beets. And use those glucose hacks
The savory breakfast, the veggie starter, the vinegar preload.
to steady your energy and protect your neurons.
And I'll leave you with one final integrated thought to mull over. We talked about how essential deep sleep is for the brain's cleansing system, the lymphatic system, which removes all those metabolic toxins. So if a lack of deep sleep makes you crave high-calorie, sugary foods the next day, and we know those sugary foods cause inflammation and damage the very tissue that needs cleaning, what does that cyclical relationship between sleep debt, glucose spikes, and toxin buildup mean for the long-term structural integrity of your brain? It really highlights how all these systems are woven together and how fixing one bad habit like your sleep can create this cascade of positive repairs in so many other areas.